Hey guys, hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about Racket, and it's a functional programming language, and we're going to be basically talking about the basics of it. Now let's take a look at these higher order functions. So let's start off with map. Map is very simple. If you use map in JavaScript or Java or anything like that, you'll know it's kind of like the same exact thing. You're just iterating through every single value in the list, and you're applying some operation to it. So what you do, like let's say we have the list right here. So let's actually use map. So map, what it does, it takes map like this, it takes an operation, and then it takes a list. That's one way of doing it. You can do it with list and another list. And I'll show you how to do that in a sec, but let's try it with just one value. So we have one list, and we are applying one operation to every single value in that list. So let's try operation, and we have an operation already defined. We call it square value. So basically we want to square every single value in this. So we'll do square value, and then we'll do LST. So now instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's going to return the square of that. So it's going to be like 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. So if you want to add one value to every single one, just like right here, all you have to do is do map plus 1 list, just like that. And then instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's that simple. But let's say you don't have a function already defined, or you don't want to make one, right? Because you only use it once. What you're going to do then is use something called a Lambda function. So a Lambda function is basically an undefined function that you're creating in the moment, and it can use it. So if we do Lambda is just the name of the function. We have the parameters too. So we do like x in this case, it would just be x, and then what we return, right? So it's kind of like a function. It's kind of like defined, but instead of a function name, we're just doing Lambda, right? So Lambda, and then we have our parameters in the middle. If we have more than one, we would do brackets like this, x like that, but we only have one. In fact, even if you want, you can have the brackets around it too. Like it shouldn't matter. And then we do Lambda, and then we'll do plus x1. And then make sure you close that, and then let's do to list, just like that. And then you see it returns the exact same thing as doing plus 1. You can do the same thing by squaring instead. All you have to do is take that same function, use Lambda, you can do x and x. And then right now it's going to square it. So we're going to get 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Just like that. Let's move on to using map with two lists. So let's say we have map. Let's quickly define a list too. And we'll make it the same exact size as that. So that's another crucial part. So it has to be the same size. So we'll do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, I get confused a little bit, but the way you would actually find the length of an array that you want is you would do length, and then you have the list right here. So if you do length list 2, you would get 5. So the way we do map, and we have this list 1 and list 2, and we need an operation right here. Just like before, we just have two lists now. Now it's kind of like taking a function, but taking two values instead of just one value. What's going to happen is now you're going to have two variables for the corresponding positions of both lists. So for example, if you take the first value of list 1, you're going to take the first value of list 2. Second value of list 1, second value of list 2, and so on and so on. So if we wanted to do operation right here, what we could do is we could literally just do plus, and we would be adding the two values. So this should return 7, 9, I'm not going to do the math. And then you have 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. So if you want, you can actually do a Lambda function instead. You can do map, you can do Lambda. You're going to have two parameters now because you're going to take the corresponding values from the first and second value list. Let's say we want to do the x times y and then plus 1 for some reason. So we'll do plus 1, and then we'll do times x, y. Make sure you close the bracket properly, and then you do list and then list 2. So now it's going to multiply the two values, and you're going to add 1 to it. Just like that. So one of the questions I had was write a map function to return the dot product of two lists. So the dot product is when you kind of like, you multiply the corresponding values and then you add them all up together. So now let's think about it a bit. So we're going to have map, we do times list and list 2, right? So we have every single value right here, but we don't have the summation of it. We just have every single individual value. So how do we actually sum this up? That's where apply comes in. So when you do apply, you return one thing. So you do apply the plus operation for sum, because we're summing them all up, and you're gonna do map times list2. And there you go. So if you do apply, it kind of just returns one value by doing an application to every single one of them, right? So in this case, it's adding every single value, like this, and then like this, and so on. So let's say you wanted the product of every single value in the list. So you want to multiply them all together. You would do apply times, and now you do the list. So in this case, we'll just do list, and we'll get the actual product of multiplying all these values right here. What filter does, it returns a sublist of the array that fits a certain Boolean operation. So right here, what we would do is we'd have a function that returns a Boolean value right here. So in this case, let's do odd, and let's do return list. So now it's going to return all the odd values. So if we do that, we're going to get 1, 3, 5. And if we want to get the even values, we would do even. And then we get 2, 4. What it does is it kind of iterates through every single value. If this holds true, it's going to return it, right? So let's try something a little bit cooler. Let's do filter, empty, and let's make a list. So we'll do that, and then we'll have one with an actual value in it. So this should return 3 sublists, just like that. Folder is pretty interesting. What it does is, so there's fold R and fold L. R means right. So we're going to be using that, but then left is going to be the same exact thing the other way around. So the way it works is if you do cons and then you have list and empty, this is your base value. So this is what you start off with. And then what you're doing is you're going through, in this case, since you're doing R, you're doing cons with empty and that last value of list. So let's do 1 here instead, just so it's a little bit clearer. So we have empty. Actually, let's start off with empty just to start off. Like nothing's gonna happen. It's just gonna be empty, right? If we try the same thing with 1, we're gonna get returned 1, just like that, right? And then if we try to do the same thing with 2 values, 1, 2, you're gonna see that it's just adding them in that same order. So let's try folder cons 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you're gonna see that they kind of append. So this may make it clearer for you. So let's do fold left, and then we'll do cons just like before. We don't have to always do cons. As long as you have a function that takes an integer and a list, it should work just fine. So we do 1, 2, 3 like this, and then we'll do 5, 6, 7. Let's say we do this, you're gonna see a little bit more clear now. So you're gonna have 7, 6, 5, 1, 2, 3. So what's really happening is you're taking 5 now and you're multiplying it with this, and then you're gonna have 6, and then you're gonna be multiplying with this, which is the second value, and then you have 7, and then you're doing cons 7 with that value. So what you're doing is cons, your base, and then the rest of your function, of your list. Let's quickly take a look at recursion. So let's do define, let's do summation, so where we add up all the values in it. So it's kind of like apply plus, but instead of higher order functions, we're gonna be using recursion. So let's do define, we'll do summation. I think we're gonna do summation too because summation is already defined. And then we have to take a list, just like this, list. And I'll show you what not to do. So for example, you can't exactly just do the first value of list. Sorry, let me have one more bracket here. So we can't just do this and then we do our recursive call. So we have summation 2 of the rest of list. Just like that, because we know that'll give you the return of that, right? So this will actually not work because we're missing our base case. So we try this, and then we try summation 2, and we try summation 2 of our list. It's not gonna work because it doesn't know what to do with the given empty string, which is what's gonna happen when rest reaches the final base case, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna redefine this. we're gonna need the base case right here. So we're gonna have an if statement now. So we're gonna do if, and then we'll do empty list. So for the case that it's empty, just return 0. Otherwise, what you'd want to do is this statement right here. Close the bracket, and let's try it again. Summation 2 of list works perfectly now. You don't always have to use if statements. You can also do conditions, but I kind of ran out of time. It's very simple. You just do condition, and then you'd have brackets where the first value is going to be the Boolean operation. So you can have empty list, and then you can have that. And then you have in the second part what you'd actually return. So you do empty and then 0. And then you can have an else 1. Close that. In this case, it works because we know that list is not empty, so it's gonna go to the else statement already. But it's just another way of doing if statements. But if you want to do like multiple conditions, the better way to do it would be using condition and having multiple square brackets. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful and you understand Racket a little bit more. I'll have the documentation in the description below if you want to learn more about it. But yeah, good luck. Bye.